Hey guys, we're going to be going to Dark Anima in Dark Visions number 19. Haven't killed the boss yet. I've been really hoping for some lucky off-banner pulls for some of the stuff I need, like, more of Tyvis, more of Yuna, more of Arn, etc., for all the gear they bring along with them. Hasn't happened, so it's time to just accept that my rank this month is not going to be very good. But anyway, so here's the team we are going to go with. We're going to do a Dark team. Because, Sephiroth is still my strongest unit. He's really high undead killer, so Dark is the way to go, it feels like. Yuna is going to be for the undead killer, the Dark field. She also does decent cap damage. Titus has really high fairy killer. Again, easy to gear. He's also a very strong unit if you've got some of the premium Final Fantasy X stuff. I'm actually a little low on that gear, so my Titus is not nearly as good as he could be. And then Lara Croft. The boss has no passives, which means Lara Croft is pretty important for the 90% break. Then we're going to use Carton for Fist in Peril and Dark Imbue, also some decent damage. And then Kryla is going to be for Dark Amplify and helping fill Laura, because filling Laura is a headache, but Kryla is really helpful for that. So if you don't have some of these units, for example, EX3 Kryla is required to bring her, because we do need her EX3 buff. Yigni is a good option. Wanderer's got a great video showing Yigni on a similar style clear of this. If you don't have Carton, for example, you can use Louise for Gun in Peril. I think Leo's got a team that has that. So there are other players that have done similar teams, and if you don't have the same stuff I'm using, you can check their videos out. But this is my spin on the current popular Dark team that most people are using for Anima. Another option I'll mention is using crowns on Rain and going with the Fire team, but that is a really, really heavy investment that I am not willing to do. So you're not going to see that on my channel, at least. That is just too much of an investment for this specific Dark Visions. Anyway, I'm going to pause real quick right here in case I misclick and I have to do an intro again, and then we're going to go in here and show the clear, and then I'll show the gear. So, see you in a second. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get a clear in, then I'll show the gear and all at the end. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do on turn 1 is use Laura's shifted LB to start stacking it up. We're also going to summon Anima with Yuna on turn 1, which is going to require a few pieces of Esperfil gear. Or you can do your chainers before Yuna if you need to. But now we're going to do the 100 count chain score with triple Stardust Ray from Sephiroth and Titus. And triple Bolting Strike from Kryla with Eventide Brew. And Full Moon Carton. We're going to do Haunting Barrage. Don't use Somber Claw yet. So go ahead and chain these guys up. That's going to be a 100 count chain score to get it out of the way. It also is not going to deal very much damage to the boss, which is what we want for the moment. Currently, Yuna is provoking with 100% light resist. Alright, so on turn 2, Yuna is going to do her base form LB for the undead killer. We're going to shift Laura to the base form that is using 1000% fill rate. We're going to use Kryla in the base form to Soul Surge, to Calamity Concoction, and Spellbreaker. That's going to fill LB gauge for Laura. It's also going to imperil the boss, break the boss, and Nethicite, and I'll explain Nethicite in a moment. We're going to use Sephiroth to shift here and do a shifted LB after you break the boss. Make sure you don't chain this at all whatsoever, because we don't want to do too much damage, and even a single count of chain will do too much damage. That's about perfect right there. So Carton is going to shift and do his shifted LB for the modifier boost on this turn. Titus is going to triple. We're going to spiral cut 3 times. Now this is just to get crystal drops for our Laura. She already got enough LB gauge, but she needs a tiny amount more than what is guaranteed from Kryla, but we did get a drop, so that's good. If you didn't get Laura's LB gauge filled by the end of this turn, unfortunately the fight is ruined. Retreat and come back and try again. But we got her LB gauge filled, so we're going to stack her shifted LB a second time. The rest of Laura's LBs are going to be guarantees. That was the only RNG. So there is the Banishka attack. That was stopped by Kryla's Nethicite, because we still didn't do any kind of light resist buff yet. But Nethicite stops that. Okay, so this turn, we're going to use Sephiroth to go to the base form and do his Magnus. We're going to go to the base form with Karkin. And we're going to do... Not yet. We're going to go to the shift form with Kryla. So we're going to cast Twilight Pact twice on Laura. This is a buff. This is a Dark Amplify. It's an LB fill. And then we're going to do Defense Boost on Yuna, which is an AoE 100% light resist buff. Now, keep in mind that Twilight Pact deals 6,666 damage per cast to the target. That means Laura's going to be taking 13,332 damage, but thankfully her max HP is enough if you've potted her HP, and I have. So she's fine. But her LB gauge is now filled. Now we're going to use Kartin to... Whoops. We're going to use Kartin to... Oh my god. Kartin, come on. We're going to use Kartin to Cursed Gift for the Fist in Peril and double Somber Claw. Somber Claw is going to AoE imbue us with Dark, which is what we want to do before doing Laura. Now Laura is going to do Volatile Ammunition. This is going to do about 10-15% damage to the boss. Okay, it did a decent amount. That pushed the boss close to the threshold, but not there. If you're pushing the boss too far, that's a bad thing, and you don't want to do that. If you didn't push close enough, you can use Titus to Stardust Ray twice here, but he is now imbued, so the boss will be taking a ton more damage. Because the boss is, that health is perfect, we're going to just use Blitz Mania without triple cast. That's a water resist buff for later. On this turn, we're going to use Yuna to exercise Jade for the Jade Moon Pendant to stop Confusion next turn. You could also just gear your party for Confusion immunity if you don't have a Jade Moon Pendant. But there was the light attack. We immuned it with Kryla's light resist buff. So normally turn 4, the boss will get mitigation, but we're going to cross the threshold on turn 4, which buys you 1 extra turn before that mitigation. But it also makes the boss swap over to water mode. He can start doing water damage on your party instead of light damage. But we've got 100% water resist from Titus, so it's fine. He's also going to do AoE Confusion. That's why we did Jade Moon Pendant. If you have Confusion immunity from gear, then you don't got to worry about that. Anyway, we're going to use Titus to get ready for next turn by using my one and only Tyva's Spirit to power up his LB. We're going to use Kryla to triple. We're going to Twilight Pact on Yuna. That's a 45% light amplify. We're going to Twilight Pact on Titus. That's a 45% dark amplify. And we're going to just do, doesn't really matter what else, we'll just do Jinx Weakening, who cares. So now Titus has and Yuna has really low health as well. Again, make sure your party members have 6,666 or better HP. But we do. So now we have a 45% dark amp on Titus, a 45% light amp on Yuna, a 45% dark amp on Lara Croft, and then Kartin and Sephiroth did their own 50% dark amp, and Kartin AoE imbued dark on the party. So Yuna's going to shift this turn, and we're going to do, we're going to triple. We're going to do Knowledge of the Staff, Believe, and Hymn of the Faith. That's her STMR. She's got to be equipped with it. Lara Croft can go to the base form, and she's just going to hit the boss twice with normal attack. That fills her LB gauge back to the maximum. Now, if you have Tyvus's STMR or multiple copies, you're going to want to fit them in on Lara and Sephiroth as well for next turn. But I've only got 1 copy, so that makes this turn really easy. So in the base form of Sephiroth, we're going to triple Purging Blade. Kartin in the base form is going to triple Haunting Barrage. Now, both of these are basically naked in the base form. This is strictly being done with attack buffs and imbues. So, I'm sorry, Kartin, wrong one. Kartin, we're going to be doing Stardust Ray. The Shrouded Judgment, yes, Stardust Ray. So we're going to chain these two, and this is going to push that threshold. It's not going to deal much damage because both of them are basically naked in the base form, but it's going to do about 10-15%, which is enough. There we go. So if you're, more or less pushing the threshold, play with it a little bit, and, you'll get there eventually. But you want to cross the threshold on that turn without pushing too far. So there was the water damage, there was the confusion, immune to it all, we're good. So now we are ready to kill the boss. So for damage, we're going to use Titus to True Blitz Ace. Yuna is going to do her LB as well. Lara Croft is going to shift and do her shifted LB. Sephiroth is going to shift and do his shifted LB. And for the chaining, we're going to have Carton shift and do his Feral Frenzy. And Kryla is going to triple cast Jinx Weakening Concoction, which is triple Bolting Strike. Okay, so we're going to chain this up, and we're going to see what kind of damage we deal. I'm going to pause the video here because, you know, variants. I'm going to do 3 or 4 runs, and I'll show you the high roll out of those 3 or 4. I'm not going to spend too much time doing this, but I'm going to do a few rolls, and we're going to see a high roll, so get some ideas of the team's potential. So see you when variants plays nice. Alright guys, here we go again. Alright, variants, please cooperate. Here we go. Let's see what it looks like this time. 7.3. That seems fine. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and keep that one as our example clear. I'm going to probably keep rolling variants. That was actually not the highest I've ever seen on the practice runs, but pretty decent. Yeah, but you know, I kind of want to keep it at 1 energy. So 7.3 damage with this team is decent. I've gone as high as 7.7 in practice runs when I wasn't recording, but I don't feel like just rerunning it over and over and over and over for the video. So there we go. So here's the team. If you have multiple copies of Tyvis, if you have a really decked out Titus, you can do way better. But this is my example clear. So let me go ahead and show the gear and the team and all. So here's Titus. As you can see, I only have orange jug for him. I don't have orange card, and I don't have an extra copy of Yuna's STMR for him. So my Titus is, you know, not the greatest. He is using a katana to get imperils from Sephiroth, and he's using Tyvis' Spirit, my only copy. So his build is maxed LB, maxed Fairy, and maxed Reaper with a 1.3 weapon. If you're using like Louise on the team, you would probably want to give him a gun, but you know, I'm not doing that on this team. Yuna in the base form is just our passive provoker, 100 light resist. Jade Moon for the immunity, some Esper fill, and then shift form is staff build damage, 6400. Here's the build, and she's using my only copy of Yuna's STMR, which is why my Titus doesn't have a spare copy. 300, 265, and 160. Lara in the base form, 1000% fill rate, dual wielding with her TMR. If you've got, you know, Tyvis's Spirit, give her one as well. 1000% fill rate. Shift form is using a katana, again, for Sephiroth's Imperil. If you're using Louise, you're going to want to use guns. Here is her build in the shift form. And she's got maxed LB, 275 Reaper, 225 Fairy Killer. Carton in the base form, just whatever. Shift form is using a gun build, double hand, max chain cap with the new Vision card. He's got 300 Reaper and 225 Fairy. You can replace him with like Yigni or Louise, and your score may or may not improve, depends on your gear. Kryla base form, just some fill rate and Esper fill. Shift form, I geared her for Call of the Wild and Paintbrush in the shift form, so she gets her LB back after using Twilight Pact the first time she shifts into the shift form. And then Sephiroth base form, kind of whatever, a little bit of Esper fill. Shift form is, you know, LB damage versus spirits and undead. And there we go. Maxed LB, maxed Fairy, and maxed Reaper. So there we go. There's an example clear with 1 Tyvis Spirit and only 1 copy of the FFX premium gears. If you've got more, you can do way better. If you've got all the perfect setup, you might want to copy one of the like high rank guys videos for this month. But yeah, for me, it's mostly just doing whatever until Clash of Wills comes back, when I can get more interested in fun content, not dumb dark visions. But anyway, if I somehow happen to off-banner like more Tyvises before Wednesday, maybe I'll record an updated clear, but that's extremely unlikely. Anyway, hope it's been helpful. See you guys next time.